What's up guys, welcome to Munchkin's Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkin's logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the new intersecting wheels for Garnet's Lufenia Plus fight, and of course, before we do start, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, guys, and I really do appreciate it. And we are pretty close to 3,000 subscribers, so really hoping we can get that by the end of the year. So without further ado, let's start this video. Alright guys, so as always, we'll start this off on how you're gonna deal with the Lufenia orb, which appears at the start of the battle and will disappear once you hit less than 80% and will reappear once again once you hit less than 40%. You get one Lufenia orb counter when the enemy takes thunder damage and water damage as well. So characters that can meet this requirement: Garnet, obviously, Ash, Beatrix, Kryle, Lon, and Rain. As you can see, there's not a lot of water elemental damage going around in this particular list. However, there are still a few characters like Ferris who can do this. There's really no water elemental enchanter, so unless you want to bring Rydia, which unfortunately she's not that great at this point in time until she gets her rework later on, but she is an option if you want water damage enchantment. However, the other characters that I've already mentioned here can do those much better. Even if you just need the thunder damage, that's all you need. You don't need both at the same time, you just need one of them to I guess activate the Lufenia orb to go up. And if you did notice, you only get one Lufenia orb counter up, which means you're gonna use a lot of follow-up or off-turn damage in order to actually put the number up, because if you don't, it's basically just you take a turn, you do the damage, and it just kind of stays the same. It doesn't really go up. So you will need some follow-up characters with the enchant around them, and that usually you use a call character for that and get the enchantments if you don't want to use them in your main team. So follow-up characters, definitely something you want to bring along for this fight to deal with the Lufenia orb. Alright guys, now let's move on to how this fight works, which honestly is quite scary because at the start of the fight you are immediately greeted with 3 Sandstorm Plus, which basically lowers your HP to 10% of your current HP. So it doesn't kill you, don't be scared, it doesn't kill you, but it does make it so that your HP is very low at the start of this fight. Also, after this, basically the attack itself applies a max HP down debuff, which is kind of scary even more. We'll talk about how you're going to deal with this later on, of course. Other things that you need to know is they will use this ability again when you hit when the boss's HP reaches less than 70, 40, and 20%. Now, the boss themselves will trigger the Sandstorm Plus. I guess not all of them will trigger it. If only one of the boss is less than 70, they will just kind of do it once their HP hits those thresholds. You will also see counter stands when their HP is less than 80 and 50%. Now you will notice a yellow aura, and basically this will counter any melee attacks. Again, we'll talk about how you're gonna deal with this later on. Once you hit less than 30%, they will activate Quicksand, which is an HP poison aura, more HP damage. The bosses are also immune to knockback, so you cannot bring Sid Rains, unfortunately. Lufenia Plus auras still apply, increased defense, lower brave gains, lower brave damage, brave damage reduction, and all that good stuff that comes with Lufenia Plus. So, how are you going to deal with this fight? Well, the immediate answer is heal. Just heal through those damage. It's not gonna kill you, but you have to be able to heal yourself back up to a good amount of HP, because the boss actually have a ton of brave. Their initial brave is actually nothing to scoff at, and the best way to deal with that is obviously applying debuffs such as poison and sap debuff. They are going to be very helpful. Now you can use elemental attacks to disable counter stance as well, and it also helps to dispel the enemy's buffs, because this does give them attack up, defense up, and some brave regen, which is definitely gonna be very hard for you to deal with if you don't take it off. Now, like I said earlier, follow-up attacks does help with the Lufenia orb, and of course our boy Setzer is still very good because you can freeze them and basically, you know, stop them from gaining any brave. He can also ignore all those brave damage reductions. Apply paralysis, confuse all these kinds of debuffs as well, because they are going to help you avoid getting HP attacks just in case. You can also prevent a lot of the sandstorm attack with effects such as Beatrix Holy Night Guard, and I do believe Warrior of Light helps here as well. And yeah, those are the biggest ways to deal with this fight. Alright guys, now let's talk about characters that you may want to bring in this fight. Now, honestly, bringing just water and thunder elemental characters is going to help, because that's how you're going to deal with the Lufenia orb, but you still need to bring those follow-up attacks. So characters like Prompto, Core, Trey, they can help. They have you know, those follow-up attacks or traps like Ace, you know, definitely can help you bring up those Lufenia orb counter. Alright, now let's talk about call characters. Now, it's important to note that a lot of the call characters that are listed here will help you in some shape, way, or form. But I do recommend bringing characters that can remove buffs if you don't plan on bringing them yourself. So even if it's just, say, Vanille with her base call can actually remove buffs, Beatrix and Shulk can do this too. You can also apply a lot of frame debuffs in order for you to block those buffs off, like, you know, mixing in, let's say, Caius or maybe a Lion, you know, just putting a lot of those frame debuffs is definitely going to stop them from actually buffing themselves. But at the end of it all, it's all gonna depend on your main team. Your call team are there for backup. That's all you have to remember. Alright guys, now let's talk about party compositions, and of course the first team that I would recommend is the team that I went with: Garnet, Lon Rain, and Porom, with a call team of Faris, Beatrix, and Shulk. Support for this one is Lon and Rain as well, and the summon I went with was Odin. So basically the idea here is I've got all my, you know, Dispel characters as my call characters. I kind of went with Porom for the heals to support Garnet, because Garnet, even though she can heal, her best heal is going to be her EX. On hindsight, you can probably bring Setzer here, probably do a lot more damage with Setzer in this team composition, but then again, it's all up to you. Lon and Rain definitely destroys this Lufenia Plus in terms of the damage that they bring. So I guess that's two teams in one. You can just replace Porom with Setzer if you really want to. I think it's a little bit safer with that freeze, but you know, it can get pushed off with all the debuffs that you're applying and stuff like that. It can happen, so you just have to keep an eye that you still have that freeze debuff. Alright, for the second team I went with Garnet, Cloud of Darkness, and Setzer, with a call team of Faris, Kurosami, and Jack, and support is going to be Lon and Rain with the summon Ramuh. Now, this team is basically kind of like the first team. You're just taking advantage of, you know, Cloud of Darkness off-turn damage instead of doing a ton of damage with Lon and Rain. I mean, the support of Lon and Rain is still there, so you can do a massive amount of damage whenever you need to. So, this team is definitely something you can use in order to beat this fight. Alright guys, for the final one, I've got Core, Ishtola, and Beatrix for your main team, and the call team is going to be Faris, Kryle, and Ash. Support is going to be Lon and Rain, and Ramuh for the summon. Now, as you might have noticed, Beatrix is the only Thunder Elemental character in your main team. However, Kryle and Ash can fill up the thunder element as well, since their call gives you a party enchant, which is really nice. I believe Ash is holy and thunder element, if I remember correctly. You can correct me down in the comments below if I'm wrong, but she still gives you an elemental buff anyway, so you can forget about worrying about the counter attack when it comes to Core's melee attacks. So that's something you can do to prevent the counter stance from kicking in, since you have like a Cole character that has an elemental attack attached to them. And it does help that the party gets the buff as well. Alright guys, so we're finally at the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts regarding this fight. Now overall, I think the fight itself wasn't too hard, especially if you have a Lawn and Rain, and if you have a friend who has Lawn and Rain as well. Definitely makes this fight so much easier, so much manageable when it comes to doing overall attack damage. It can be quite scary, seeing as those Sandstorm Plus does do a ton of damage, but I'm here to tell you, don't be scared of them. You can just stay calm and heal through it. Just heal through it. You can use delay tactics as well, so you can actually, get some heals in, or you can hold off using your, say, EX when it comes to Garnet, and just use it when the Sandstorm Plus is about to come and you get hit, and then use it. You can just time that EX. You don't have to keep using them once they are up. You can always just hold off and just use them at the right time. Same thing can be said for Porum with her White Wave. You can hold off and just wait. That's all I really have to say. I don't think the fight itself was hard. I didn't have any issues with it. I remember back in JP, I might have had a little bit trouble because it's JP. I can't understand Japanese. I have to look up what's going on, and I did feel like I kind of remember I had a little bit of trouble, but not all that much trouble. And now that I'm doing it again in global, I just don't have any issues with it at all. And I guess it helped that I actually BT plus my Lawn and Rain, and in my JP account, my JP account I didn't, so I guess that helped out a lot. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about this fight. And once again, please remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, because it does help the channel, guys, and I really do appreciate it. And I really do appreciate if you can share this video as well to other DFFO players who are struggling to beat Lufenia Plus, and hopefully this video does help them, and you can check out my other videos in the channel with other Lufenia fights. Also, like I said earlier, we are reaching near 3,000 subscribers. That is a great goal for me, and I would really appreciate it if we can get there by the end of the year. No, it's not much. I think I have like 21 subscribers left, and we get that 3,000 sub goal, and I'll be really ecstatic once that happens. And yeah, follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off. Oh, leave that in the comments below as well, your team, your strategy. Let me know if I missed anything. Yeah, this is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next level.